Jake from JacobTubeHD. Welcome back to the movie I want to talk about. The show that continues to review movies from this franchise despite it getting low views every time. Weed month is ending and I'm running out of weed jokes. Losing my energy, especially now that 420 has passed. I'm just disappointed. I thought I would find a stoner comedy with substance and an emotional message. Some of the Harold and Kumar films had that, but that Christmas one was way too crazy. I need to fulfill my craving and then I can go back to reviewing movies that aren't about drugs. You know what? I've had some stoner icons in the background of the show for like every single episode. Even though they've been in 4 films I reviewed on the show, I've never talked about their solo films. You know what? Fuck it. They're my last hope. Let's see if I can find the emotion and feeling I've been looking for this entire month. This is Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. This film is about our duo finding out a movie is being made about the 2 characters based on their likeness, Bluntman and Chronic. They set out to Hollywood to stop the movie from getting made and to put an end to people slandering them on the internet. Once again, this film is directed by Kevin Smith and is a part of the View Askew universe. Both Jay and Silent Bob have shown up in other films that I've reviewed on the show, like Dogma, the Clerks trilogy, and a cameo in Scream 3. This film is almost like the Avengers of the View Askew universe, having references and continuations of the stories of the other 4 View Askew films that released before this one, which includes 2 films I haven't reviewed yet. Even characters from other View Askew films show up here, hence why Jason Lee and Ben Affleck play 2 people in this film. This film is the goofiest shit I've reviewed on the show so far, and I love every minute of it. It's so bizarre and wild, and I love it for that. It's just a crazy adventure with Jay and Silent Bob, and that's all it is. Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith bring the same funny energy they brought as the characters in the other View Askew films, but dialed up to 11 since this film is solely about them. Since Silent Bob doesn't talk, the weight of the film is solely on Jason Mewes, and he kills it here with not just the comedy, but also is able to give a good performance when he either has to play serious or in moments light on jokes. Every other character is hilarious here. Standouts include Shannon Elizabeth, who plays Justice, as she actually provides Jay a serious motivation and is something to care about that isn't dumb. Also, Will Ferrell is fucking hilarious as Will and Holly, who's an officer that's after Jay and Silent Bob. You know you're going to laugh whenever he's on screen just because of the energy he brings to every scene he's in. There's also a shit ton of cameos from different celebrities that are all fun in their own way, whether they're playing a character or a characterized version of themselves. The only problem here is that some things might go over your head if you haven't seen the first Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, and Dogma, as the whole Bluntman and Chronic thing, which is the movie they're trying to stop, comes from Chasing Amy. You can still understand the plot if you haven't seen those 4 films, but just be aware that moments might go over your head, especially when you see some actors playing 2 characters. It's a meta blast that's enjoyable from start to finish. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back gets a 4 out of 5 clits, which stands for the Coalition for the Liberation of Itinerant Tree Dwellers, and nothing else. The film had some emotion, but not enough. I need more substance. Something that can really make me cry. Luckily, they made a sequel to this. I'm praying for a miracle. This is Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. This film is about the duo inadvertently signing their names in rights away for a Bluntman and Chronic reboot. Now they have to head to Hollywood to try and stop another film from being made. Along the way, Jay discovers that he has a daughter who tags along their journey with her friends. Kevin Smith decided to make this film while he was in the hospital due to an almost fatal heart attack. Just like the first film, it celebrates the View Askew universe, has a bunch of celebrity cameos, and even features some of the characters from other View Askew films. It's surprising considering how much time had passed since the first film, but it's still just as fun as ever. It had been 18 years since the first film and 13 years since the last time they played the characters, but Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith can still play Jay and Silent Bob excellently. Jason Mewes has definitely improved his acting abilities because he's brilliant here, especially when it comes to the moments this film gets serious. The story of Jay trying to become a good father to his love child is the beating heart of this film. You actually connect to Jay more than any other film the character has been in, as we get to see him as more than this comedic wild character. Speaking of Jay's child, her name is Millie, and she's played by Harley Quinn Smith, who's Kevin Smith's real-life daughter. She does a brilliant job here at helping Jay hit his emotional beats, and being this relatable character who has been missing her father her whole life. She also provides some fresh comedy and pokes fun at the character of Jay and how insensitive he can be. This does feel a bit like a repeat of the first film, but they definitely lean into this as Jay and Silent Bob are trying to stop a reboot. It also goes way more meta this time around, especially since Kevin Smith is a character in this movie. Once again, there's a shit ton of fun celebrity cameos. In fact, there's more here than there was last time around. This film also doesn't heavily rely on other View Askew films for the plot, but there's a lot of references to View Askew films. Some are more obvious than others. The only thing I don't like is the fact that Jay and Silent Bob loses the rights to their names because that plot point doesn't really go anywhere. It has somewhat of an emotional payoff, but not enough for how many times it's brought up throughout the film. Despite this feeling very similar to the first film, it still feels just as fun as the original, with more heart than the original film ever had. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot gets a 4 out of 5 hater tots. I did it! I found a stoner comedy that made me emotional, that made me have feelings other than the high from the drugs that the characters were smoking. Who knew that the Funko Pops that have been behind me for 38 episodes would provide the satisfaction I've been looking for throughout the past month? Well, I'm tired of talking about weed. I've been doing it for 4 weeks and now I'm bored of it. Maybe I should start talking about other drugs. Cocaine, meth, shrooms, crack, acid, LSD. Nah, I should probably stop before this video gets age restricted. I'm shocked this whole month hasn't been age restricted.